Now, after a week where the bottom fell out of the joint media career, with the loss of Spotify being called grifters, and it looks like Netflix will also stop their contract in 2025, are Harry and Meghan about to go their own way and do, instead of a joint venture, their solo career? Joining us now to discuss the latest royal news is royal commentator Judita DaSilva. So, a bad couple of weeks for them, isn't it? Losing these contracts, people calling them grifters, not knowing how to work, and, you know, they haven't got very many good ideas. Have they played the whole royal game and then their solo careers completely wrong?
Simply put, they did play it wrong. The intention was honourable, but like I've said it several times before, these were two young people that were out of their depth. They've never been the level of fame that they were thrust into, and they were ill-equipped to deal with it and make the right decisions to propel it in a positive direction. When it came to the business of what they did, by Harry's own admission, he was in a situation where he was cut off financially. And so when people were throwing millions at him, his response was yes, yes, yes. He had to make a lot of money quickly to sustain himself and his family. But then once you said yes, people want return on their investment. You were ill-equipped to deliver in the kinds of fields you'd said yes to. When you look at Spotify, people know in the podcast world, Spotify didn't sign you because they cared about the righteous productions you wanted to make. They signed you because you're an electrifying brand and you're clickbait. And in the podcast world, when there is a scandal, what do? You take it to the podcast. You talk about it there because it's you and your listeners. So Spotify is thinking, these guys just have scandal after scandal. They're salivating now. When the next one comes, they'll bring it to a Spotify platform. They never did. So Spotify is thinking, I'm going to pay you 20 million and I don't get to feed from the trough of all this attention-generating stuff you do, when attention is the most valuable collateral in the business today.
So you're saying they're naive, really? They were a bit stupid, yeah?
I mean, people have always speculated that Meghan might get tired of Harry, that once she sort of milked his royal connections for all it's worth, she'd want to move on. But in today's Daily Mail, page 22, it says, is Harry tiring of Meghan's showbiz world? What do we think?
The thing is, what they have, I do believe, is just a love that is true and deep, 100%. But what Harry doesn't understand is, while you've criticised the firm, they insulated from the truth of what the real world is. And the kind of real world you've stepped into is Hollywood. Hollywood is brutal and it's vicious. Meghan Markle knows a bit about it, but she is operating at a stratospherically higher level than she's ever done in her life. That is why she's changed management. With Ari Emanuel, you've got a savvy guy who's going to tell you that you are the wife of a blood royal, of the most popular royal family in the world. That's cachet. I can craft a career for you. If you get divorced, I can handle that. If you stay together, I can handle that. Harry's going to have conversations. I work in TV and film. I've worked with Hollywood executives. They don't care what you believe in. They can care what they can get out of you. What's sexy about what you're offering me? What's going to make people watch it? Harry now has to have conversations where we don't care about Africa and your ambitions. How do you make me money? He's not used to having to answer those questions or be answerable to people in that way. So he's having a baptism of fire.
Now, I thought the Trevor Phillips interview was interesting earlier this week, where he sort of said Meghan didn't really know what it was like to be black. She learned to be black when she was a member of the royal family. So I read a little bit more, and he said, really, again, they played it wrong. UK has the largest uniquely mixed race population anywhere in the world, and it came about through romance rather than coercion, and they could have been the standard bearer for that, and they didn't. What did you think to what Trevor Phillips said there?
On two things, I do agree with the latter part of what he said. Harry and Meghan were potentially Diana 2.0 on steroids. It was played badly. But when he said learn to be black, I found that diminutive and almost, it was offensive to me gutturally. But then I had to take a meta perspective. Trevor Phillips comes from a generation where you capitulate, you assimilate, you turn the other cheek, and he spoke to the kind of racism he had experienced. So in their mentality, which is the generation of my parents and grandparents, there is a way to be black, to make the racist white people you experience in white spaces comfortable with you. So that verbiage exists in their vernacular. I'm from a generation where we don't bend. I'm black, I'm here, deal with me or move out of the way. That's who we are. Black Lives Matter protests proved that. So when he said it, I was offended, but then I stepped back and said that that's the language he understands. But what he should have said is, when Meghan Markle came to the UK, she was, for the first time in her life, she was confronted with being black. And for the first time ever, she had to live according to it, which she's never had to, being light-skinned and white-presenting.
But I do think they missed an opportunity. I thought it was a wonderful opportunity they had there.
A lot of people made mistakes.
We opened our hearts to it. But should Harry and Will, quickly, if you can give an answer on this, come together? It's the eve, or would have been, Princess Diana's, or Queen, would have been Queen Diana, 62nd birthday. Should they come together now?
I hope they will. They did separate messages, but they recognized they had to turn up for this event. What I've said a lot of times is, it's blood, it's love. The people who hurt you deeply are family. But there are two people who can make the reconciliation happen. King Charles can force them to come to the table, but the true key is Kate. She can make William forgive. And if it happens, it will be great, but only time will tell.
So Kate's the key player.
Kate's the key.
Judita, thank you very much indeed.
I just wanted to quickly say about the homeless initiative that William's come forward with. £3 million, and maybe even, again in the paper today, I will let the homeless live in our palace. Is this a reality? Could he let the homeless live in it? It's not going to happen, is it, in Buckingham Palace, the homeless?
What I say is that the fact he's willing to put his name to it and be willing to fail publicly, it's going to stimulate change. And that's a brilliant legacy to start and something that he can be proud of.